So they say Chris Paul is the perfect fit. Oh, excuse me. 39-year-old Chris Paul is the perfect fit for the Spurs. Now, if we just talking because he old as shit, then he might be the perfect fit.
The Spurs didn't make any huge free agency splashes on paper, but they added veteran point guard Chris Paul. While it's not a crazy signing, it was clear that the Spurs signed him for one thing, to unlock Victor Wembanyama's full potential. Now, we got a little glimpse of what this duo would look like in their preseason game against the Magic. And let me tell you, I know it's just preseason, but their connection is going to be one of the scariest in the NBA. Most people who saw the signing knew that Chris Paul was much needed for the pick and roll. A pass-first point guard whose bread and butter is the pick and roll, and a 7'6" alien is the perfect duo. While we'll get to that, it's the little things that Paul does that opens up opportunities for Wemby and everyone else. Even when he doesn't.
Hate a little Chris Paul, and I'm not a Chris Paul fan, but you gotta kind of respect his little bald ass, his little nugget ski ball whopper head ass, his little cocoa pebble big toe head. You gotta respect him though, bro, because it's like shit. He got IQ, bro. I respect niggas with IQ. If you don't got no IQ, bro, I don't even want to hoop with you, bro.
Doesn't have the ball. So Wemby's got the ball, and Wagner's in the gap to close off Wemby's driving lane. So Paul smartly backscreens Wagner, Suggs isn't paying attention, and that opens up Champagnie for
That's IQ right there, bro.
Paul knows that people fear Wemby so much that subtle movements are good enough to open up lanes. Wemby has the ball on the block again. Now, Wagner and Suggs want to help from the backside, so Paul smartly jogs from the wing to the corner, and that gets Suggs and Wagner's attention. So when Wemby and Barnes run this dribble handoff, now Suggs is too late and gets called for goaltending. When Paul has the ball, the possibilities are endless. The Spurs are on a fast break, and with Wemby running down the lane, Banchero jumps so early because he's anticipating a lob. Wemby has to be covered, and that allows Paul to skip it to the wing for an open three. When CP3 and Wemby are on a fast break, it's going to put a similar type of pressure that Curry puts when he's looking like he's pulling up for three. Except instead of pulling up for three, everyone's going to be jumping for the lob, and you can imagine what you could do from there. It's even harder when they run pick and roll together. When teams don't bring any help, look out, because finally the Spurs have someone that can get the ball to Wemby up top. That fear is there all the time. This time they run a pick and pop. Now the low man defender has to be watching Wemby in case he rolls. So Branham cuts behind, and Wemby throws a no-look pass for an easy layup. Because Wemby's a priority on the pick and roll, a lot of players are probably going to go under the screen. With all that space, Chris Paul should get the most open threes he's probably ever had. Paul has never shot the three-pointer as much as you might think, but teams cannot let Paul get downhill or else it's going to be too much to handle. Now, the one area that the Spurs need to figure out is where Jeremy Sohan belongs on these pick and rolls. He's the one guy on the floor that can't shoot, so the Magic had left him alone and dared him to make shots. He's also not as athletic as someone like Aaron Gordon, so he can't necessarily just hang out at the dunker spot.
Trade him.
I'm thinking that he'll probably be the Spurs' primary cutter, especially with all the attention on Paul and Wemby. However, his game doesn't fit well naturally with a big like Wemby, so it'll be interesting to see how Pop decides to use him.
Trade him.
With all that said, thank God the Spurs got Chris Paul. Even watching this game, other Spurs players still had a hard time getting Wemby the ball. So having one of the smartest...
God damn. Trade these niggas. Trade them.
Other Spurs players still had a hard time getting Wemby the ball. So having one of the smartest basketball players ever can only help. There was a time in this game where Paul had thrown it up when Wemby had a mismatch, and he didn't react until the last second, but it eventually worked out. Afterwards, you could tell that he wasn't ready for that, and that's the beauty of having a true point guard. They can see opportunities even if Wemby doesn't see it himself.
He's looking way up
at that nigga. Most importantly, Paul will play a huge part in unlocking Wemby's skills as a guard. One of Wemby's main weaknesses this past season was that he would be out of control, and he has shown that a few times again against the Magic, even trying to nutmeg Jet Howard's legs. Of course, you live with that because of Wemby's potential, but learning how to groom that talent to reduce those mistakes will be one of Wemby's next steps to being a superstar.
For sure.
I know that it's only one preseason game, but it's hard not to be excited about this duo, especially when it's opened up a lot of opportunities that I hadn't really thought about.
For sure.
Once Vassell comes back, I'm really excited to see how these three play together, and time will only tell to see how good the Spurs are going to be.
I know Pop happy as hell to have Chris Paul old ass.